Hey, Karin, how you
Hey,
doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy that you're here today. I'm so happy we could connect, and I consider you a lifelong friend of mine, even though we haven't known each other for that many years, but it's just you're so dear to my heart, and we have all these
Oh,
amazing conversations. And finally, we decided to record them, yeah, and
yeah, and I
share
feel
those.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here and for our lifelong connection. Maybe
Yes.
it's been longer than this life.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah,
it's a recognition, a soulmate recognition.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so for everybody that's watching, I just want to introduce Karin for a few moments and then we'll start our conversation. So the what I know about you is that you're an amazing astrologer. You did a mapping for me, a birth chart, and you did all the astrology and the numerology, and I was like very like deeply touched. I was like, wow, this is like boom, 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 you know? It's exactly what it's like, oh, that's me. But I also
Oh,
know
thank
that you
you.
do you do relationship coaching, and you're
Mhm.
also, you're doing a lot of things which you can tell me about. But also, I'm really excited about your new hypnosis that you're starting, the class that you're starting. So let's just say that you've been around the block a few times and you've done a lot of things, and you have your own business and you're doing amazing things in there. So where would you like to start? Would you like to talk
Oh,
about some of your awakening journey, or do you want to just jump into talking
oh,
about what you do now?
oh, that's a very difficult question
I
too.
know.
Well, Well, I can mention that I am a psychosynthesis therapist,
Mm-hmm.
which is that is a very good platform for um, spiritual to build on
Mm-hmm.
spiritually. So that was I studied to be a psychosynthesis therapist in 1999. That's when
Wow.
I graduated. So that's
Mhm.
25 years ago.
Yes.
And so after that, I it has been a very long journey. So I don't know how many courses that I've taken, and that's it's
Mm-hmm.
been shaman, Nordic shamanism, and
Mm.
uh, medium.
Yeah.
Um,
Mediumship. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the astrology, and
Yes.
um, well,
Yeah, it's wonderful because it's like a journey for you of remembering who you are and also stepping
definitely,
into, each step you're kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, that's interesting.
definitely,
And so you're sort of trying to figure your way through. And you and I actually
absolutely,
met on a course, right?
right, yeah,
We took that instant
yeah,
transformation quantum
yes,
physics
yes, yes,
class, which was like blew my mind in terms of what you're able to do when you just put your intention to it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So that was a big cornerstone for me to like
Hmm.
really like embodying what you hear. It's like, oh, you can do this, you can do this. But in
Yeah.
that course, I was like, I can do it.
Yeah, you felt
Yeah.
that. I
Yes.
think, yeah,
Yes.
it was a little bit harder for me. I think
Yeah.
I'm more uh, down to earth, maybe,
Mhm.
or I just don't trust that the
Yeah.
process like that. I think it was easier for you for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that.
Yeah. Well,
Or maybe it's
also,
just
yeah.
accepting that maybe we have different journeys, and I think I'm pretty mental, you know. And if we look into our astrology, our birth charts,
Our favorite subject.
yeah, I can tell you have Pluto on your ascendant, which
Yeah.
makes you extremely powerful, and I
Mm.
have very much many planets in my ascendant in air, the element of air. So
Hmm.
that makes me, I think, more, mm, yeah, both mental, and I also have earth, the element
Mm.
of earth
Mm.
in
Mm.
my chart. So
Mm.
maybe that's, it's not good or bad. It's just
Yes.
that's
It's
who
just
you are,
you.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's me. So
Yeah.
instead of trying to be something that I'm not,
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm very intuitive.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
So I
you
have
are.
a
You are.
very, when I work with clients,
Uh-huh.
I can really, yeah, I think I'm an expert in seeing patterns. That's
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
what I'm good at.
I
And
can I can attest to that because every single conversation we have, you always come in with like and you know like a view, and you're like, oh, I see this now. And I was like,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
you know. So there's this
yeah,
completely. But what I thought was beautiful, you said, you have air and you have
hmm,
earth, so you're
yeah,
grounding at the
yeah.
same time. So you're like,
Ah,
this in between space, holding that space, right?
thank you for that interpretation.
Yeah. As you said
I
that, it
love it.
just came to me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's really that's me. That's
Yeah.
and
And another thing is like, okay, so you interpret things as if, oh, that wasn't exactly for me, but
mm,
as part of your journey in this lifetime and previous lifetimes, maybe you weren't really focused on those things.
right. Yeah. Who knows?
So something else is more, easier for you to like tune into,
Mm,
there's other qualities like seeing patterns, like
mm.
diving really deep into rabbit holes
Yeah.
while still maintaining your
Mhm.
presence in your intellect. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
it's like that fluidity and the depth of the ground and the height of the channel.
Hmm, hmm,
It's like
hmm.
you told, and as I'm saying it, I'm realizing that this is you.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
blown away.
Yes.
That's really, thank you for that. And how much do you want to?
I'll send you the bill later.
Exactly. That's amazing because that makes me more confident and happy about myself. Because sometimes I feel that,
Mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, who am I and why am I
Mm-hmm.
here? But that's
Mm-hmm.
very,
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Yeah. And I also love that we also laugh a lot in our conversations. There's a
Yeah.
revelation, and then there's like, oh, this is funny.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Wow. Yeah, but
Yeah.
when many people are running down these rabbit holes,
Mm-hmm.
I have been doing that.
Us included, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
5 years. Not
Yes.
and I think many people kind of specialize in one.
Yeah.
They go for one
Yeah.
thing at a time. But
Yeah.
my aim is to see the whole picture,
Uh-huh.
to crack the code,
Yeah, of course.
to
Yeah.
so that I don't have to run on all these,
Mm-hmm.
everything that's popping up in
Mm-hmm.
the news and
Yeah.
alternative media and
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I had my cat when I grew up. He was so smart.
Mm-hmm.
You tie some thing in a string and you go
Yes.
like this, and
Yeah.
and most cats they run after that little thing. But
Yeah.
he just looked at that, and he saw the string, and then he saw my hand, and then he bit my hand instead.
Yeah.
And it's not because it was moving like he was just chasing anything, but
Yeah.
he was so smart. He just
Yeah.
thought that why should I chase this thing here when I can go to the source and
Yeah.
buy that?
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
so
Beautiful
that's
because that's you. You like to map out the whole landscape
yeah,
and understand the entire source instead of chasing, all these
right.
shadows of things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but what about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
you need to go down all those rabbit holes
Mhm.
and see the patterns in
Yeah.
all of them and then come to the conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I also listen to many, pods with persons who have that perspective and who actually, your analysis of me, they
Mm.
all have in common that they connect the spiritual with what's on the street right now. So they
Mm.
are, in
Mm.
both. those realms at the
Yes.
same time,
Beautiful.
and have this overall
Yes.
view
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, so that's
Yeah.
my journey.
I love that. I love that because, you know, and just the analogy of the cat is absolutely amazing because that's how we feel sometimes, right? We just chase around the things on the
Yeah.
ground and then we're
Hmm.
just kind of like, oh, well, wait a minute. Is this actually like what's, and I'm exactly the same way. Maybe that's why we, get along,
Yeah.
is I like to understand the whole
Hmm.
picture or at
Yeah.
least get a sense for like what's going on over
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
And then I can plug, the puzzle pieces together without like chasing on every single ball.
Hmm.
I like
Hmm.
to kind of settle into something that I feel is right for me. That's
Yeah.
my truth. And then
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if I keep on replacing those puzzle pieces and saying, oh, that was wrong. Okay, another one.
Exactly.
Oh,
You,
that was
yeah.
wrong. Okay, another one. And every once in a while, I'll scramble up the whole thing and I start
Hmm.
over. But I do,
That's true science, what you're talking about.
yeah,
That's what you
right.
have a hypothesis, and then you just throw
Yeah,
it when
yes.
you realize that, oh, that's, and then you
Uh-huh.
go for
Yes.
another. So that's
Yeah.
exactly how you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a scientific process, right? You're
it is.
absolutely
That
right.
is. Yeah.
I, that's amazing that you're pointing that out because
Hmm.
it really is trial and error, trying to
Yeah, it
figure
is.
out what works in your particular system. And because we're also always changing. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, you're taking all these different classes, right? You're
Hmm.
constantly changing your the map of who you are and what the world
Yeah.
around you and
Hmm.
everything starts to reflect that back to you, which means that
Hmm.
you have to change out those pieces, because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
just you're finding new ways of looking at reality, essentially.
Definitely. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting because it's like it's in involuntary sometimes that I I get pushed into all these courses, and sometimes I
Mm.
was persuaded to join a course that I
Hmm.
didn't want to go to.
Yeah.
It was this Nordic shamanic
Uh-huh.
thing that was magic and all of those stuff. I'm not a witch really, but
Yeah.
that was witchery, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Very,
Sure.
very interesting. I'm so happy that I was persuaded to go to that course.
Okay.
And in the same time, I studied. I had my part-time work as a career coach and
Hmm.
my my company with the coaching therapy thing.
Hmm.
And in the same time, I went to this course,
Mm.
the shamanic, and
Mm.
then I went to tantric yoga. It was very much Hinduism and very, very deep.
Mm.
And astrology in
Mm.
Stockholm. I had to fly to Stockholm every month.
Right.
Yeah, I did all these things in the
Yeah.
same time. Well, and why? Because I realized that all those three things that I studied, they were exactly the same, systematically. They were, yeah, I can't explain, but
No,
you
but
understand what I mean.
yes, I understand exactly what you mean. They're talking
Yeah.
about the same thing in different ways.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
different places in the world, but exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, that's why I needed to take all those,
Mm-hmm.
courses in the
Yeah.
same time to
Yeah.
realize this.
Yeah.
And so there is some universal truths or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, whatever I do, it is the same conclusion,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
And isn't
think.
that beautiful? You know,
Yeah,
I
it
sometimes
is.
think about that because, like you said, sometimes we drive ourselves mad thinking, oh, why should I take another course? Why should
Hmm.
I read another
Yeah.
book? Right? It's like after
Mm.
you've been on this journey for a while, that's what it starts to feel like. But
Mm.
then you start to realize you're kind of filling in the holes,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
cementing in between and you're just filling
Right.
in and you're patching up and everything when you look at the picture it all comes together so beautifully like you said,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, these are all different systems, but they're really talking
Hmm.
about the same thing. And somehow that allows you to go deeper.
Right. Yeah.
right?
And it's so beautiful when you explain it because it's like I haven't realized this about myself until
Mm.
you mirror it for me.
Uh,
So so that's
mm,
why we need each other.
mhm.
We need other people
Yes,
and
we
friends
do.
and to
Yes, we
so
do.
it's very important the work that you do right now. You have been doing so many things as well. So but you're really good at seeing
Mm,
me and
mm,
mirroring back.
mm.
That's important.
Mm.
Thank you.
And I feel the same way about you, exactly what you just said.
Mm.
And I think, that's why we're here as
Yeah.
different fractals of this great
Hmm.
big universe, so that we can see each other and say, oh yes, it's like you
Yeah.
said, it's we're holding up a mirror and and
Hmm.
all of a sudden we see ourselves through someone
Yeah.
else's eyes,
Yes, that's so beautiful.
isn't
It's
it?
amazing. Yeah.
And someone else's words, it's
Hmm.
saying
Hmm.
something, and we're like, right. Yes.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
But we can't, it's almost like we're not capable of seeing it ourselves.
No.
We need someone else to
Yeah.
be like, yes, when you speak about this, this is what
Hmm.
I feel.
Yeah. Because it's so easy then when you're my journey is very I'm very lonely because I think
Mm,
I'm pretty odd like as
me too.
many people feel like us being odd so we're lonely and we walk in our own little
Yep.
bubble
Yes.
and probably doubt
Yeah.
very much
Mm-hmm.
ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and when so when we get together and we do mirror each other
Mm.
suddenly we it's like we blossom and in each
Mm-hmm.
other's company.
Yeah.
So that's a
Do.
blessing.
We do, and it's almost like we can release ourselves, like
Yeah.
those parts that we've been like, yeah, I can't show this to you, and oh,
Hmm.
oh, like it's like
Hmm.
we just open and we just talk, and
Yeah.
in that release, it's like we feel like we're expanding,
Hmm.
we feel so
Exactly.
excited, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, someone else is thinking the exact same, thoughts that
Hmm.
I am.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
yeah,
I'm
I
a,
agree. Yeah.
mm,
Because the journey that you're on when you're kind of waking up to the fact that there is something else out there except for like all the stuff that we can touch and see, it
mm.
can be quite lonely for a long
Yeah.
period of time.
Oh
You're
yeah.
sort of feeling like I don't have the same worldview as these people that are close to me, but I
Right.
also haven't found new people that feel the
Mm.
same way that I do, which means that you
Mm.
feel crazy, you feel
Yeah.
alone, you feel a little
Hmm.
bit sad because you're also going
Yeah.
through all this really deep emotional clearing, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
just like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? There's a long period of that, at least in my
Oh yeah.
experience, a
Yeah.
very long period of feeling lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when you start to meet people, like you, and it's like, oh, okay. So at least I'm not the only crazy one.
Right.
There are more people out there.
Maybe we're many.
A lot. We're a
More
lot.
than we
There's
think.
tons of us now,
Yeah.
which is like, hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something popped into my head. Last time you and I spoke, we talked about water,
Yeah.
and that was a fun subject that we
Yeah, that's
we just
exciting.
went, we dove right into it.
Hmm.
And it was so much fun because I don't remember how our conversation started, but we started talking about Veda Austin and about the crystallography that she
Hmm.
does and these
Mm.
beautiful kind of, you know, almost frozen images that she creates when she puts words and thoughts and materials
Yeah.
into it.
Hmm.
And we started doing our own experiments,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then we had a discussion about the ice ceiling. Do you remember that? It was kind of like
Yeah.
you
You're
can start
right.
to see things
Mm.
in water, right? Things that
Yeah.
are reflected
Hmm.
from you.
Mm.
So maybe we can, kind of sense into that and see if there's something else that we can
Yeah.
find
I
now.
don't recall. We came up with some fantastic analysis there,
Yeah.
which I can't remember now, but we
We'll
really.
come up with a new one
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like a revelation when
Yes.
you
Yes.
talked about that, and oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So because it describes some process in life that is
Yes.
again universal and in this holographic matrix that we live
Yeah.
in.
Yes. Because what I'm starting to realize more and more, and many people with me, I'm not definitely not alone, is that water contains so much. It's like it contains information from
Hmm.
the universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I was in a QHHT session a couple months, back more than half a year, and I was brought
Yeah.
into the universe, and I was shown this amazing network of water, all
Hmm.
throughout the universe, like between all
Wow.
the stars and everything.
Yeah.
It was like roots of water. Imagine that
Hmm.
spreading out through the universe. And I was there tinkering with that, and I was telling the practitioner that like I give life to water. Like my group, we help give
Hmm.
information to the water. And when I
Hmm.
saw that, I felt a little crazy even in the session because I was like,
Hmm.
this network of water throughout space, that sounds weird.
Hmm.
Now I'm telling you, on my
Hmm.
Instagram account, I see things every day.
Hmm.
Scientists found 400 trillion, times the Earth amounts of water floating out in space. Scientists
Wow.
says that water is throughout the entire universe and feeding us information. And I was just like, wow. So like I saw that.
Wow. And you know what? That's the age of Aquarius.
Yes.
Because it is a network, water connecting us
Yes.
all.
Yes.
The soup that connects all of us,
All
and
of us.
yeah, the networking. And,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah. And then the water and also they found the water here on Earth, that the water
mhm.
here on Earth, about more than half of it is older than Earth, like
Wow.
way older. So it's from somewhere else, right? Out in the galaxy. And so the water that we drink has like the origin of source,
Wow.
right? That's my
Yeah.
conclusion. The water that we have in our clouds, in our
Mhm.
oceans, in our rivers,
Mhm.
in our bodies are all older than this earth.
That's amazing. So it's like stem cells for, the blueprint of all life or everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It's like the stem cell. It's like the original information network, you
Yeah.
know? So what I was shown is that there's this energy network and then there's an information network. And they're
Hmm.
very similar.
Hmm.
The information network obviously also carries information,
Yeah.
it's pumping out information. And
Hmm.
so I think when I listened to Veda Austin last time, she said that every 3 days, the water
Hmm.
that we drink is new with new information.
Hmm.
So the cosmos is constantly feeding our systems, our bodies with new information just by drinking a cup of water,
Hmm. Amazing.
right? It's like, what does that do to your morning cup of water, right? When you're drinking it, it's
That's
like
why we're supposed to drink water every morning. Start the day with, an empty stomach.
yes, because
Mm.
then you can get your news feed from
Yep,
the
yep.
cosmos.
Oh, so I don't need to read the morning paper.
You
I can just
don't.
have a glass of water.
Glass of water, you're tapped in.
Mm.
Pun intended, tap water. Yeah. I just, but yeah. So I mean, it's just amazing. It's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I need to tap into that as
Yes.
well. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
another another topic that I need to add to my
To your
to
list of
my
like,
list of
I need
yeah.
to take a class.
Yeah, but that it's so fundamental. So
Yes.
I think I
Yes.
need that in my portfolio.
It seems like the way I'm sensing into it, it's almost like it's at the basis of existence, kind of
Mm.
like love,
Yep,
right?
yep. Yeah.
It's holding, everything
Hmm.
else.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I think, oh, I just had to change my
Yeah,
position.
absolutely.
But lately, I've always been very interested in health because it started already when I was 5 years old because I was overweight and my parents they put me on a diet, so I was
Uh-huh.
very aware of it. And my
Yes.
grandma taught me that vegetables are good for you. And then, most kids they feel like, oh, if you're telling me it's good for me, then I don't like it. But I was the opposite. I said,
Uh-huh.
yummy
Okay.
vegetables. Yeah. And then so it has been following me for my
Mm.
entire life.
Hmm.
And really been into all these rabbit holes, you know,
But the diet, yeah.
concerning diet and health and everything.
Mm.
But now I'm so fed up with it's so complicated. So now I'm looking for, simplicity.
Hmm.
So this is I love this about the water because that's one cornerstone, one building block. And I recently, I just a couple of days ago, I just received my red light, near infrared light panel.
Mm.
So that's one thing that I think might be like giving me some, overall
Hmm.
benefits,
Mm.
health.
Yes.
So it is the light, the sun, the
Mm.
water,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
these elements.
The elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's so great that you're saying that because it's the elements. That's
Hmm.
actually how simple it is.
Yeah.
It's sitting by the fire with
Hmm. Yeah.
your friends, before you
Hmm.
go to bed, which is like
Hmm.
your infrared light now.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
drinking water,
Hmm.
it's breathing the air, and it's
Hmm.
grounding against the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the salt,
yeah, yeah,
that's the earth
yeah,
element,
exactly.
important building
Yes.
block.
And then you have the fifth, the ether, which
Hmm.
is now your connectivity to, you know, the Australian Aboriginals, they don't even have a word for spirit because
No.
it's within everything. So it would
Hmm.
be silly to call something spiritual because everything contains spirit, right?
Yeah.
Including
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
can't
like
separate out it. You can't
no,
separate out from.
no.
Oh, yeah.
So those five things might be a really good way to start if you want to
Hmm.
make some changes in your life.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
like you said, with a diet, instead of following the latest, like, oh, eat for 7 hours, then sleep
Hmm.
for three, whatever,
Yeah. All these protocols.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Tune back into the earth, into
Yeah.
the fire, into the,
Hmm.
water. What is it
Yeah.
telling you to do?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
What is your body craving, let's
Hmm.
say, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. That's very, very, very wise. I love when things are simple. We have a tendency to, I feel like we have a tendency to do at least two things. One thing is to complicate things.
Hmm.
We make things so complicated that there's
Yeah.
no way we can keep up with it. And the other thing is to externalize things. To
Hmm.
say, oh, I feel this way. I need a pill.
Mm.
Or
Oh, yeah.
I need, I need to go running. Like it's not about the outside, it's about the inside.
Mm.
But we tend to say, oh, if I buy a new car, if I get a new
Mm.
house, like
Mm.
all these things on the outside. And we do that on the spiritual journey as well. We
Yeah.
put it on the outside of ourselves
Yeah.
and say, oh, if I do this for 21 days, if I do this,
Mm. Mm.
then
Yeah.
then I don't have to look in here.
No. Wow. I lost words there. That's so wise. I just, yeah. That's, yeah. Even that, as you say, do this meditation for 21
Yes.
days. That's
Yes.
the outside as well.
Yes, it is.
And that's why I think that explains why I get so blasé.
Mm-hmm.
I lose interest because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, it doesn't glue to me. It's like I can't. I never. stuck to one, protocol or
Yeah.
uh, dogma, or
Hmm.
probably because it is maybe my journey to investigate all these things and realizing that no, it's not for me, and now coming into this simplicity, this search for the simple. And
Yeah. I think so. And I think it's for all of us,
mhm.
because we live in the duality, of the world.
Mm,
It's like it's the and also. So it's like at the same time as you're on the journey, you're
mm.
also already there.
Yeah,
You know?
we have
Which
been the
which
whole
I love
time.
about it because it makes me laugh, right? I
Yeah.
crack up. It's like, oh my God, it's hilarious. We created
Mm.
this uh, labyrinth for ourselves. Like
Yeah,
first I'm gonna get this, and then
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go here, and then and oh wait, I'm coming back to like where I started.
It's like the old novel, Paulo Coelho, The
Yes,
Alchemist.
yes,
That's a journey. He goes out in the world, and then
yes,
he comes back, and he
yeah,
was there the whole time, but he
yeah,
had to
yeah,
to go around the
yeah,
world
yeah.
to find himself.
He did because
Yeah.
now he's coming back with all these experiences and
Mm.
a new level of consciousness,
Yeah.
which means he's in the same spot and he's
Mm-hmm.
also not, right?
Mm.
But what he wanted was there all along. He just needed to have all these experiences in order to
Mm.
realize it,
Yeah.
which is, I think, that story is beautiful. I actually reread that because I read it such a long time ago, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I should reread it. So I reread it. I don't know, maybe last summer,
Mm-hmm.
and I've interfaced with it in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Because there was the talk of the treasure, right? He found the treasure with gold and everything. And that
Mm-hmm.
was such a beautiful analogy for the treasure that we all have inside of us,
Yeah.
that was just underneath our feet. And we're just like, oh, wow, this was
Yeah.
here this whole
Yeah.
time.
Mhm. I should read it again.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
a
thought about
great,
it in a long
yeah,
time.
because now you're reading it from a new level of
Mm.
awareness, and you'll see
Mm.
new things.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
quite, it's a brilliant book.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I just thought about something completely, totally different. And it's
Go for it.
I started out my first career was as a fashion designer.
Oh, I did not know that.
You didn't know
I
that?
did
No.
not.
That was, I went to this to New York for
Hmm.
1 year to be a au pair, and
Okay.
I had a dream that I wanted to go to Parsons,
Oh,
Parsons
cool.
School of Art, the fashion design,
Mm.
and but I didn't have the money, so but I went back to Sweden, and I studied to be a designer,
Mm.
and then I worked 4 years as a designer, and it was terrible. It was awful. This, the business. But what I learned in that business was how the world works, how the commercial world works, the how everything is planned, the fashion is planned at least 7 years in advance.
Mm.
So it's like a huge conspiracy. So,
Now we're
and
introducing blue, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and people think that it's something magic that the designers sit on the sidewalks in Paris and with their drawing pad and
Mm-hmm.
but no, it's not how it works really.
Yeah.
Maybe a tiny bit, but
Yeah. Yeah.
most of it is just people sitting there in these institutes, fashion institutes, and make up the everything,
Mm-hmm.
many years in advance, so that all the industries can um, cooperate.
Yeah.
The bags, purses,
Yes.
clothes,
Yeah.
shoes, everything that
Yeah.
they are
Cars
coordinated.
also, because it affects
Yeah.
the cars. It also
Hmm.
affects my business, which is, in architecture. So they
Yeah.
introduce the color of the year every year, which
Yeah.
is hilarious But that stems from that as well, right?
Yeah, so that the whole global this is
Yeah,
the global
yeah,
system is like
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
I that made me it was so easy for me to see
yeah,
what is happening now in the world, and we talk about the new world order or whatever you want to call it,
yes,
but
yes.
to see all these patterns and that conspiracies do exist, and it's not always evil. It's just
Mm-hmm.
people who love to to have power and to
Yeah.
coordinate, and everybody makes money if you cooperate, because in maybe 80 years ago the
Mm,
industry wasn't that, and
mm.
so you couldn't find, if you had you bought a dress, you couldn't find a purse that matched because
Right. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
now oh, it's so
Uh-huh.
nice to shop because
Yeah.
everything is, you can find matching
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
and all these magazines, fashion magazines and journalists, and
Yeah.
it's a huge industry and
Yes.
everybody benefits from it.
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
so
It's interesting you say that because I actually had, I don't know if it was a daydream or like a sleep dream the other day that was totally random. And it
mhm,
was nothing that I've ever experienced myself. But I saw like this actor, or kind of fashion, exactly what you're talking about. But then I started seeing all the people around them.
mhm,
And so it's kind of like this person, has this image. They're doing like a little video shoot or whatever it is that they're doing. Imagine that setting like in a park or something. And then there's the photographer and the videographer and all these people, the buffet table, like, just, and then I thought to myself, oh, like that one person is employing, hundreds of people.
wow,
And
yeah,
it dawned on me, just like you said,
mhm,
it
mhm,
doesn't mean that it's something bad. It means that all these people get to have, things that they enjoy doing because
mhm,
of this one person who happens to be a little bit famous or,
mhm,
whatever it is that that person stands for.
mhm, mhm.
All of it's like a ripple effect out.
Yeah,
And I just saw all these people and the tents and
wow,
everything. And I was just like, it just opened my eyes, just like what you were
mhm,
saying now,
mhm,
how
mhm.
we all like affect each other like that.
Yeah, mm.
Yeah. And it's quite beautiful when you think
It
about,
is.
how one individual can create something that
Yeah,
sustains many, it's like nourishing for all of the other
exactly.
people
Yeah.
around them. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So
So
that's
I
yeah, that's it's a mechanism, and the
yeah.
important thing is that you put in some good intention and love in that process, that
Hmm.
you want to build up something, because what is happening, the you know what we're seeing now is the I don't like the word evil, but I can't come
Yes.
up with another word. But when I'm
Yeah.
trying to say that this process is working
Mm.
um, in detriment of the humanity, but we need to swap that. And
Yes.
I think and that dream is also so Aquarian. It was like, again, the ripples, and ripple water, wavelengths, but how we network and affect each other.
Mm.
And I I also, my experience from fashion business was pretty scary, because how easy it is to control people's minds, because when this was in the 80s, and it was, in the 70s, you had these bell-shaped, blue jeans with that shape. And
Mhm.
then in the 80s, everything was like the, what do you call it? Stuprör.
Yeah, like they were straight,
Yeah,
straight
that was.
fitting all the way down. Yeah.
And everybody said, I'm never gonna wear,
Mhm.
bell-shaped blue
Mhm.
jeans. Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
so out of
70s.
style. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
knew that it's gonna come very soon again. So I started to wear those again,
Oh.
and people, how can you wear those? But then, in the 80s, they still had these huge screens on downtown with the, pictures,
The
fashion.
billboards and things. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it took only 3 weeks. And then everybody wore these bell-shaped blue jeans.
Yeah.
But you told me that you were never gonna wear those again. But then it's just that's a new normal.
Mhm.
So it's
Mm.
people don't they're not critical. They just, oh no, it's no, we're supposed to have that. Oh, it looks so good, and I
Mhm.
craving for those
Yeah.
suddenly.
Yeah. Well, how amazing that you got to see that whole behind the
Yeah.
scenes kind of
Oh
information because
yeah,
you now
yeah.
start to see, oh wow, well, okay, so things are planned in advance, for all
Hmm.
the kinds of different reasons, but
Hmm.
also how easily we fall into like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I love those jeans now. Oh no, I hate them. And it's just
Hmm.
a few weeks. And so if we look at the entire system, how easily it is
Yeah.
to persuade to
Control.
move in a particular direction when it comes to like education, when it comes to
Yeah.
politics, when it comes to like, warmongering or
Hmm.
all these
Hmm.
things that
Yeah.
like, we very quickly adapt the
Yeah.
new thought, so to speak.
Exactly.
All it
Yeah.
takes is like a few billboards and like a few people saying, "Oh, absolutely, this is, what we need to do." And then we're
Hmm.
like, "Oh," and then, we go in that direction. Yeah.
Exactly. That's how
Mhm.
it works. And
Yeah.
that's why, the ruling elite,
Mm.
they have psychologists
Mm-hmm.
to create the narrative and how
Mm-hmm.
they're going to manipulate the masses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a war.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
Absolutely.
psychological war.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a different kind of fashion war.
Yeah. And that's why I was so interested in psychology because,
Oh, yes.
that's
Because
always a
now
long
you
story.
understand kind of how the mind works, how we
Yeah.
work. So now you can
Yeah.
actually help change it in a beautiful way,
Yeah.
in a positive way, like you were talking about before. You influence by positive energy, by like
Hmm.
prompting people into doing things that are helpful for them.
Yeah.
For example, in relationships,
Hmm.
what's a helpful communication style,
Yeah.
you know?
Definitely. Yeah.
So it's like you flip that around and you
Mm.
now have something beautiful to offer,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world. Which
Yeah.
I want to bring back to the point where you were also saying that's so Aquarian. Because I would love for us, and this I'm pulling that back in now,
Hmm.
but uh, for us to talk a little bit about the Aquarian age, because you
Hmm.
just have so much insight into that. You were just
Mm.
saying like, oh, okay, that dream is so Aquarian,
Yeah.
a ripple effect. And you also said that the water was so Aquarian, when you
Yeah.
see the network. So what do
Yeah.
you see? Because I'm already starting, and I'm not an astrologer, but I'm already starting to see how everything is shifting into more
Hmm.
cooperation and working
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Is that your sense
Oh
also?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. People talk about that and
Yeah.
start their own communities and
Ah,
cooperative farming and
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So what's Aquarian for you? What traits or what, how would you describe if I just came to you and asked you as an astrologer, like how would you describe Aquarian energy in terms of like, what we were talking about the other day when we were preparing for this, it's like, what's happening in the world, the astrology of like overarching.
Mm.
It's just so interesting to both you and me and
Mm.
more, but what's Aquarian in terms of the collective, in terms of society to
Well,
you?
I think that the Aquarian um, idea is about the brotherhood, and it's about actually grassroots. Because
Oh,
so if I compare to we're just finishing up the age of Pisces, which
yeah.
is the fishes, and I it's my personal interpretation is that we swim in what do you call it?
School of fish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and you give up your own um You're just one of the fish,
Mm-hmm.
and you worship. You 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 follow a leader or someone to salvate. What do you call it? Salvate
To
you?
save you or to bring
Save
you
you, a
to
savior.
salvation.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you want
Mm-hmm.
to follow a savior. So
Yeah.
that's Jesus. And
Ah.
so the past 2000 years, that every age is 2000 years long. So the
Mm-hmm.
Piscean age has been, from the birth of Jesus to
Yes.
now.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and Jesus is the fish is a symbol of Christ
Mm.
also. Yeah.
Mm. Yes. Correct. Yeah. I see that. Mm-hmm.
So we give up our individual
Mm.
sovereignty,
Mm.
and we follow the
Like we follow the
crowd.
collective, right? Like
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
described with your fashion, we follow,
Right,
what,
yes, yeah.
yeah, okay.
And now in the age of Aquarius, that makes it flips to it's grassroots instead.
Mm.
And each little strand of grass is like
Mm.
an individual.
Mm.
And everybody has to be his or her own leader, because the opposite of Aquarius is the Leo, and Leo is the leader. So
Mm.
if you don't have the Leo uh, opposition in you,
Mm.
then Aquarius it gets dangerous, because so Leo is also the heart. So you need to be in your heart. So each grassroot needs to be in his and her heart. And then the collective is a beautiful thing. And it is about the grassroots rising against the oppression, against the power, and power to the people.
Okay.
And it has been a process, a very long process. It's not, it's not a certain date that
Mm-hmm.
starts that this age, but it's very floating. So we have seen the first signs a long time ago. So it's a process of a couple of 100 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if we don't have the heart in with that? It is the crazy scientist, because Aquarius is also the genius. It's you know ruled by Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
which is the genius and science and everything. So, and that's what we see now. It's the AI. The AI is very Aquarian,
Yeah.
internet and everything,
Yeah.
and it's high tech,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use it to benefit humanity or to destroy humanity. And that's where we're standing now. Is AI and all this going to take over, and the robots and
Mm-hmm.
the smart city
Yeah.
thing? Or are we, you know,
Mm.
going to take over
Mm.
the power to the people and
Yeah.
do,
Beautiful. When
yeah.
you said that, I just sort of, 'cause you talked about Jesus and in 2000 years of being in Pisces, and then when you said the little grass straw, my next feeling was like, okay, so then now each grass straw in their heart has the Christ consciousness.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. That's very good. A very good conclusion, because
Mm.
we need to understand the Christ message
Mm.
before we are graduate to
Oh yes,
the Aquarian age, I think,
right.
because we still haven't learned anything from the 2000 years in Pisces.
Mhm.
We're still as primitive and
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
No, but we're not aware. We're not
Mhm.
conscious. That's
Mhm.
so the Christ consciousness. That's what we need to graduate with
Yeah.
before we can be full, competent
Mm.
grassroots
Mm.
with a Christ in our heart.
Mm.
actually.
Yeah, I love that. And also, it gives me a lot of hope because I'm seeing more and more people actually waking up and living their own lives, like you were saying with the community farms and living in different spaces. And of course, when there's a shift over, like you said, there's many hundreds of years. It's not like, oh, we pull the curtain on this one, then we release it, and now it's the Aquarian age. So
Right now.
it takes a long time, but
Oh yeah.
I'm really starting to see how people's values are changing.
Hmm.
They're valuing time with their family and their
Hmm.
friends and eating locally grown food,
Hmm.
like taking care of themselves and being kind to other people. It's just um I feel like we're shifting away from the capitalism and the kind of like it's all for me into something more collective.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really amazing.
Hmm.
And I feel that energy more and more. Like the more I
Mm.
talk to people, there's just more of that kind of openness, I would say.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an
That's
openness, a willingness to share,
mm.
and
Mm.
to do things together, which I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite beautiful.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're a lot younger than me, so I think
Not a lot.
my friends, we're in the 60s. We're not,
Yeah.
I know, we're not. I don't see that in
Ah,
our, but because
yes.
I'm too old to start a farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm too lazy now. I should, but if
True, but you're doing other things.
yeah, yeah, I'm
You're
the
constantly
brain.
doing other things, right?
Yeah.
Every time I speak to you, you're doing other things. So you're creating your farm, but it's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah,
different.
but my farm is the thought process and the
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
scientist.
Yeah. Yeah, because your job is not to maybe physically create a farm.
No.
Your job is to, again, be that connection
Yeah.
between this and the
Yeah.
ground
Yeah.
to allow the farmers to do their work.
Mhm.
People
Yeah.
that have more earth in their system. Like
Mm.
I'm
And
not a
and
farmer either. Yeah, go ahead.
no, but it is my job to provide with knowledge and
Yes.
thoughts.
Information. Yeah.
Information. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy for that mirroring.
Yeah.
It's really helpful for me
Yeah.
to see myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Because,
So
we beat ourselves up. Like I tried to do tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. And most of the time it's a complete failure. So I realized there's this amazing farm that's like 2 kilometers from here, and she
yeah.
has this organic, a beautiful surrounding. She's been working on it for years. I would much rather go support her, bring back a beautiful box of vegetables every
Mm.
single week, and
Mm.
then be like, I'm okay with not farming
Yeah.
because it's
Mm.
not. I don't have the. I can force it.
Mm.
It's not natural for me.
No, no.
Yeah.
So what's your thing?
My thing, I think, is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you're in your right element now.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I think my thing is and my thing is similar to yours, but a little bit different. And you can mirror
Mm.
this back to me too. Maybe you feel different, but my thing is the seeing of the whole picture, like really
Mm.
putting it all together
Yeah.
and understanding in my work as an architect, I
Mm.
have to
Oh
look at
yeah.
large systems
Yeah.
and then I have to look at the small system and I have to do
Yeah.
both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I
It's
have to
just
interface with at least, 5 or 6 different other professions who are doing their
mm.
thing within
Mm.
my system, if I can call it that, because
Mm.
I
Mm.
created the building, right? And they are
Mm.
operating within my system. So then
Yeah.
I have to make sure that all those people are happy too, with
Mm.
the
Mm.
plumbing and the electricity
Yeah.
and whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So my brain is constantly thinking about the whole and the small,
Yeah.
like back and
That's
forth, back and
amazing.
forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I'm good at naturally, and I
Mm.
believe that I've been an architect in many lifetimes before, but
Mm.
maybe more of an energy kind of building architect,
Mm.
not building with actual materials, but using energy to create
Mm.
societies.
Yeah.
Um, And so that's definitely my thing. And then the other thing is what you have brought to me, which I didn't realize before, is that I have almost like a nuclear reactor of
Mm.
projecting from
Mm.
my Pluto ascendant and
Mm.
also from my sun, right?
Mm.
So they're doubling up and they're just like shooting out information to other
Yeah,
people. So I
yeah.
have the ability to activate other people.
Yeah, that's you do that
Yeah.
very much, and yeah, that's amazing to listen to you and your yeah, well, your thing.
My
The
thing.
architect, it is very much having the whole picture and all the details and all these different professions
Mm.
that you need to coordinate. And
Mhm.
so I definitely have the same perspective on
Okay.
the detail and the
Mm.
whole. And that's, the pattern in everything
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that we share,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
view of,
Yeah.
yeah, that's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think the beauty for everyone is to realize what their thing is. Just like we've been
Yep.
talking about now,
Yeah.
figuring out and it could be many things. It doesn't just
Yeah.
have to be one or two, but
Mm.
maybe you have a few things that are, that you're naturally very good at.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think also, if we talk about the change into Aquarian time, it's like, we were trained to be like part of a system, and everyone, regardless of their qualities, were like told, oh, you need to do
Yeah.
math this way and this way and this way and this way.
Mm.
And for me, it worked very well because it fit my personality. But
Mm.
a lot of other people, it didn't. So I think this is a time to figure out, what are you good at?
Mm.
Maybe
Mm.
school told you all along that like you're not good at anything,
Mhm.
you're not good
Mm.
at math, you don't know how to memorize,
Mm.
whatever it is.
Mm.
But now I think it's the time to rediscover those things within you that were
Yeah.
not supported by the system,
Mhm.
to allow you to step into who you are now,
Mm.
and the
Mm.
abilities that you have.
Mm.
Maybe you had the ability to like hold ley lines, or maybe you
Mm.
have the ability to like
Mm.
heal.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
those things were not used in school. So now I think as humanity, we can step forward and say, I know this now about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now my services are needed.
Mm. Mm.
That's the sensation that I'm getting.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking of all these people who have been burnout
Yes.
in the system,
Mm.
and all these mostly women who
Mm.
be all they become healers
Yeah.
and psychics, you
Yes.
know, and that's the transition from the old system where
Mm.
everybody had to fit in this pyramid,
Yes.
and now we have been shifting, and it's
Yeah. And so they had those amazing healing abilities within themselves this whole time,
mm,
and they were not made for this other stuff,
no,
right? They had a
no.
much more sensitive system, tuned
Hmm.
system. And this
Hmm.
also makes me think about the children and the telepathy tapes. I
Yeah.
listened
Mm.
that whole, you listened to it too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
and
thought
and
about this now,
yes.
just 2 minutes, 2 seconds ago. I thought about the meaning of the whole, system breakdown
Mhm.
when because people get sick, and that's the transition because people have to heal and do something completely else, and so many break out, and from the health care system, and yeah,
Yeah.
become alternative healers, therapists,
Yeah.
doctors,
Hmm.
and all these children with neurological problems.
Hmm.
It must be, it, it makes sense.
It
They
totally
come
does. And
with,
I'm also convinced that those children, the children that are non-speakers, or the children that
mm-hmm,
are, being born right now and have been
mm-hmm,
born for quite some time,
mm,
they are our masters. And
yeah,
they have capabilities that are so beyond
mm-hmm,
what we have in this incarnation,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And they are here to remind us that we actually do have the same capabilities,
definitely.
but we somehow forgot. Now we need to
Yeah, and
remember.
yeah, I mean, it's probably, maybe it's just that our brain, that our five senses, they
Yeah.
are, blocking these
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
capacities that we all
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
And because all these techniques that, the monks they learn, it
Hmm.
is about going beyond
Yeah.
that. And that's also with drugs like LSD and
Yes.
ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
all about going
Yeah.
trans.
Yes.
What do you call it?
Transcending
Transcending.
transcending your mind,
Yeah,
essentially, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
No, beautiful. Yeah.
so I think these kids don't have those barriers. They don't have the complete apparatus, but it makes them,
Mm. They're
gives
just
them
like,
access to that we
yes,
don't have access to.
yes, yes, yes. And I also think it's very linked to our biology because, I follow Bruce Lipton a lot and he talks
Hmm.
about our DNA strand actually being our antenna, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of reactivating that part. But these
Hmm.
children that are being born now, they already come activated, let's say,
Yeah.
they already remember, which is
Yeah.
quite beautiful. And it also gives me a lot of, joy in my heart to see that they're here to support us on our journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, so beautiful.
So there's always, in this coin, the coin is always,
Mm,
it always has a bright side and a dark side. So
yeah,
everything that is dark, it
yeah,
also has a bright side. So these kids are injured, maybe,
yeah.
but the bright side is what we're just talking about.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and I realize that I often, when I have periods in my life when I'm very so oh, I don't feel
Mm,
like doing anything,
mm-hmm.
and suddenly, and then I get sick, and then
Mm,
I that activates me, and so it makes me start to investigate. I try to
mm,
find cures, and
mm,
uh, so the
mm,
disease
mm.
make you activate. It
Yeah.
activates.
What a beautiful insight, because I feeling into that as you're saying it because it's perfection, right? So you're feeling a little bit right? Then you get
Mm.
sick, your
Mm.
body's like detoxing something, and
Mm.
then you start to look again. So it's like a reactivation thing for you.
Mm.
Like somebody plugged you in again, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, right, let me see what I can do about my nasal
Hmm.
congestion, whatever it is.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, now you get a boost of energy.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot when I have an illness or when I have like an accident,
Mm.
like what
Mm.
happened to me when I tore my Achilles tendon like 5 months ago. It was
Mm.
just a completely restart of the whole system. It was
Yeah.
like, you're just gonna stay here for a while now.
You're right. Yeah.
And we are gonna figure out, we're gonna work together and then you're gonna be fine, but you just need to rest
Mm.
for a while.
Yeah.
I think that all those things are, the chronic pain we have in our body, it's a reminder
Mm.
of something that we need to look at.
Yeah, it's the language. It's the body's language. Yeah.
Exactly. It's sending
Mm.
us messages,
Yeah.
and your illness is sending you a message like, hey, you really should start looking at this again.
Mm. Mm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And this is the individual
Mm.
works like this and the society. So that's what we're seeing, that society is sick and that activates us. We have been sleeping because everything has been working pretty okay, but
Mm.
now it's so sick, and that makes us, you know,
Mm.
try to heal it and reshape society,
Mm.
and all these sick people and burned out people and these children.
Mm.
They are the messengers.
Mhm.
I need to show you a book. It's very
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Thank you for that. While you get the book, thank you for that message because I so deeply resonate with that in my whole being.
Yeah.
Just when you describe that on a society, collective
Mhm.
level,
Yeah.
because it's absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. This one,
Ah,
it's the best.
beautiful.
It's my Bible.
Okay.
So every symptom you have, you can just look it up and
Yes.
see what it,
Okay.
well, what your body
I
tries to
will
tell
check
you.
that out. Yes.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
um it's also, it's always a start, because then your body has its own unique message, but
Of
that's it
course.
is it's a
Mm,
start
mm,
to um
mm.
to communicate with your body. So I use that a lot.
Do you know what you just did? You did
No.
exactly what you're here to do. You explained beautifully a whole picture, you know. Then you brought down your intelligence, showed us a book that can help us solve
Yeah.
this in ourselves.
Yeah.
Imagine if everybody got this book now and that's listening and started looking into it, and now you've healed one more person who can then start to heal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's true. It is. Thank you for pointing that out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Really, truly amazing. Okay. Are we when you said the last part about the collective, I almost want to be like, that's the end of this video because it was such a beautiful message. But
Yeah.
I want you to maybe think about something that you want to leave as a parting message for everyone. And maybe it's, doesn't come to you right away, but as I'm talking, maybe something will come to you that you feel is, appropriate to deliver right now to the collective from your viewpoint, from where you
Hmm.
stand.
I'm I just feel confused myself.
Hmm.
And when I get that question,
Hmm.
it's like a big knot in my stomach.
Okay.
And I don't know. You need to help me to
Okay.
un, untie that,
Is there a
because
confusion in relationship to the question, or is there a general
to the
confusion?
no, it's to the times that we're living in.
Oh, that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
that's what
Hmm.
it is.
Because I think it's so difficult to navigate, because
Hmm.
it's been so easy for me to navigate
Hmm.
in, when
Up
other
until
people are,
now. Yes.
yeah, when other people are lost.
Mm.
I've always, I have this
Mm-hmm.
always had this very strong,
Mm. Compass or
yeah.
true north or yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
But now, because I think that maybe it's because I do feel lonely, and
Mm.
because I think maybe that my perspective is maybe in the future a little
Mm.
bit, compared to
Yes.
other people. And
Mm.
so sometimes when I speak, I feel that, I
Mm. Yeah.
uh, I
Yeah.
don't get through. Or so I thought that I was, when during the pandemic, I thought that
Mm.
I was gonna help people
Mm.
to get through this,
Mm.
but most there was so many who just you know went with the
Mm-hmm.
official narrative,
Yeah.
and that was a surprise to me, and it kind of put me out of balance,
Yeah.
because what am I supposed to do? Nobody wants to
Mm.
my perspective.
Nobody wants to hear me. Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Mm-hmm.
a feeling, and
Mm.
but maybe that's not true. Maybe it's just
Mm.
so I don't know. Maybe more people feel like me, and maybe they feel lonely, and we are many, and maybe I don't know
Yeah.
if we can. We need to open up more, and I'm not saying that everybody has to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that we need to talk more,
Mm. To like
because
untangle that confusion.
yeah,
Mm.
because maybe we have something to learn from each other.
Mm.
That's what happens when you have dialogue, when you do talk and exchange experiences and fears. And um, so I think that people need to meet. They need to. That's what is the maybe the greatest sickness in our times is these that there is only it's only one narrative at a time,
Mm.
and if you have a different opinion, then you're not welcome. You just shut up
Mhm.
and I know the power of dialogue, and that's why I'm a, a therapist and a couples therapist. It is about communication.
Mhm.
So maybe just start to talk each other over the borders.
Mm.
What do you
Beautiful.
think?
Yes, it's so beautiful. I think it was so amazing to be able to appreciate you answer this question because you started with the confusion of what I think exactly everyone feels like right now, you know? So it's like that's mirroring in your body, the confusion that everybody's feeling, and I feel the
Mm.
same way. It's like, what am I supposed to do now, right?
Mm. Mm.
And I think it's part of our times, like in order to kind of unravel us, we have to be a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Because, and I also, when you talked about your compass, because I feel the same way, is that we were so goal driven before, you know, we
Mm.
knew how to
Mm.
get there, how to do this, how to be aware, and how to know, like, oh, this is me, that's not me. I think in
Mm.
order for us to like, we're in this metamorphosis state, you know, between the larvae and the butterfly,
Mm.
and we're
Mm.
in this like mush, you know.
Yeah.
And in this mush, there's confusion,
Yeah.
there's like lack of direction, not really
Mm.
sure where to go. And if you couple that with the Aquarian energy, which I feel is very kind of quick, fast, on off, like moving
Mm.
and you know, moving in different
Mm.
directions, for me as a water sign, it's hard to keep up with that energy because it's like, oh,
Mm.
now I'm going here, then I'm going here,
Mm.
you know?
Mm. Mm.
There is a lot of confusion in me as well.
Yeah.
But then how you then tied it up into like creating clarity through communication.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
that's, I mean, if you can end on that note, that's like it's a mic drop, you know?
You know, this is also an example of how we co-create together. I couldn't formulate this
Mm,
without our conversation.
mm. Yeah,
It is the power of
yes, it is.
dialogue.
Mm,
And also, if there is, mm, you know, something that is being done
mm,
against us,
mm-hmm.
it is the divide and conquer
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't. We are one
Yes.
humanity.
Yes.
The that we are a polarity that's that's created because
Mm,
when we do start to get together and exchange our you know thoughts and feelings and opinions, then
mm,
we emerge because
mm,
we
mm,
are one.
mm.
And that's so it's an illusion that
Yeah.
we are
Mm-hmm.
separate, camps
Mm-hmm.
against each other.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Unbelievable. I really love what you just said. And I just
Mm.
want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this conversation and, you know, the intention of it reaching a lot of other people who have the same confusion maybe and just need to be seen and heard and communicated and just listen to other people speaking about it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's I thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know we will be doing this many more times.
I hope
So,
we will.
but thank you for today, Karin, and
Thank you, Maria.
have a great day. And we will speak soon again.
We will.
Take care. Namaste.
Namaste.